So yeah, you gotta be willing to adopt the processes and own it, and then act on it, right? Go out and live what you're trying to teach. Because if you're just the leadership team that's going in, oh, we hired this sales coach, go do what he says, right? And then there's no follow through, there's no intention to support and to help that team, then what's the point, right? They're not gonna do it, they're not gonna listen. But if you have a leadership team or an individual that takes ownership of that new process and those new mindsets and that new way of being, and they go out and they demonstrate that and they lead by example, the team will follow.
Welcome to the Emmanuel Podcast. This is your host, Josh, and I have two very important guests with me today. We have Robert Towner and Darnell Webb from Accelerate Sales. They're going to be speaking on sales training and give you guys some quick sales tips to get you guys started and wherever you guys are in your journey, whether you're a business owner or you're an up and coming salesperson. What I really love about these guys is they have a very different take on sales. I think when you start to hear them and talk to them, you'll see that they come from a very educational, non-pushy type of background for how they approach sales. And yeah, you guys will really love them. Take it from here.
Awesome. Thanks, Josh. Mm-hmm. It's super cool to be here. And yeah, for us, I mean, you said it, we're not the traditional sales people. And I think that's what makes us not better, but different than everyone else out there. And when I think about my career, and certainly for Darnell as well, being unique and being different is what draws people in a way that you don't have to sell somebody something, right? They genuinely and authentically want to purchase something if it's something that they need, want, and desire, right? If they have those three and they like you and they can trust you, then boom, the deal's done. It's as simple as that. I think that's a wrap. We're done.
I mean, yeah, that's basically the biggest part about sales is I think there's this stigma that came from the first generation of, I guess, salespeople prior to this newer age sales dynamics. And basically they created this almost, hey, sell to everybody. But in reality, not everybody's even a fit for your product.
Right.
I recently got a cold call and the person was like, "Hi, we are an e-commerce platform," and then she just kept going into all of the specs of what she provided. And I actually asked her, "Hey, do you even know what business you're calling?" Because I mean, I run multiple things, so it could be any of them. I was asking for my sake more than just to figure out what she was calling for, and also so that I don't tell them what my other businesses are. So I asked her, and she couldn't tell me. And so I went on to say, you know what? I'm actually a service-based business. I do video production, and something on the e-commerce platforms might not be the best fit for me.
Right.
But I'll keep you in mind for referrals for other people. And she could have saved 10 minutes of her spiel time by just asking, "Hey, what do you do?"
Right. And it starts with being prepared.
Right.
Right. Was she even prepared to pick up the phone at that time to make that call? Right. And I think, with what we're doing is like literally teaching people how to get prepared for that initial call. And it starts with doing your due diligence in the morning, right?
Right.
And taking a look at your list and seeing who's on there, pre-qualifying them before you even get started, and disqualifying them, right? Because you're 100% right. Not everybody is a good fit for every business.
This is actually really perfect. What's your guys' take on leads that are generated by salespeople and leads that are generated by a marketing team, and how does that work into your guys' workflow?
Let's break it up into a couple sections there. So leads that are generated by salespeople. When you say generated by salespeople, are you saying like the sales guy gets up in the morning, picks up picks up his Rolodex or picks up, Rolodex. How old am I?
Wow, you should really show your age.
Opens up,
Grabs his abacus.
and jumps in there, right? No, does he go out and self-source and boots on the ground and finds his own leads, that guy? Or like maybe tell me a little bit more about.
So I guess which way do you think would be more efficient for a business? In my theory, I would say that it would be more efficient to divvy up the roles, kind of do like more of an assembly line type of model. But I've also experienced where, like in my sales jobs, I've seen where if I have a personal interaction with somebody, that can usually lead to a sale a lot more consistently.
Yeah.
But I really don't know which way would be better, and I kind of want to get your take on it.
So from an efficiency standpoint in doing the assembly line, ultimately that is going to be the most efficient. It's not always the best, right? Because what you're talking about is that organic, interaction and exchange between two humans that, get to know each other. And if you have a relationship with somebody, going in and, having that conversation about your product, your service, how can we serve you? How can we help you? Right, is much more natural, and it just happens on its own for a lot of that. Right now, there's still processes, and you still got to follow a system to make sure that we're doing all of the steps necessary to make sure that we're not leaving anything out or missing anything. But from an organic standpoint, if Darnell and I go out and we're knocking on doors and we're having conversations with people that we've met at a networking event, we've met, at a lunch with, right? Those warm calls are always going to produce better results quicker than the assembly line. The assembly line efficiency, right? When we're talking about SDRs and account executives, and we start with somebody grabbing a list off of wherever they get their list from. There's a lot of different ways to get a list. There's ethical ways. There's unethical ways, right? But let's just assume, for the sake of best practices, that we're following all of the ethical moral principles, right? And so we're starting with a list. We're handing that off to an SDR. The SDR is going to go through that list, pre-qualify, set an appointment. Then that appointment is going to get passed over to the account executive. The account executive is then going to take them through the sales process and, again, qualify or disqualify through their set of processes there, and then lock in the sale, right? So from an efficiency standpoint, if everybody is firing on all cylinders and everybody is on the same page and aligned with the same mission and vision of the organization, then that works really, really well. And it's something that we're putting in place currently so that we can be as efficient as possible. Right now, it's just us, right? So we're going out and we're leaning into those organic relationships and having conversations with people that we've known for years. We've met, recently at networking events, or warm introductions from, for yourself, right? If you were to refer somebody to us, you give us a call. Hey, I got this guy, he needs sales training, right? That warm introduction is going to be huge.
Right. I went to another social event and someone called it a warm handoff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I've never heard it that way before, but I really like the way that's said, right? Like it feels like more care than just like a warm introduction. Hey, meet this guy. Okay, bye.
Right.
Versus like a handoff, like Olympics, like baton racing or something.
Yeah.
It feels like more of a care for this person that you're referring to. You're trying to find the best fit for both people. And yeah, I definitely see that. Yeah, it's definitely good because a lot of times when I've met sales trainers, I almost take them out of my head, out of my mental Rolodex. And for the first time when I met Darnell, I was like, this guy doesn't have that same vibe, right? You came from a point of value. You know what? Something really important. This happened yesterday. I want to just share this real quick. So everybody at this boot camp was getting water. This is so simple, but this also goes with the point of salespeople are service.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be a sales thing, right? And dude, this was nuts because I was brought up knowing that when you get water for yourself, you're supposed to get water for other people.
Okay.
But we were so focused on learning that day that we didn't do that for anybody. Nobody else did it. And then Darnell got up to get water, and then I see him pouring other people's drinks. And I'm watching him. I'm like, damn it, I forgot. Straight up, I forgot. And it does happen. And that's where my youngness and my naivety shows up. And so I waited about 30 minutes later after he did that. And I waited for somebody else to go get coffee or something else. So it didn't look like I was following. But after everybody's cups were empty, I went to go do that. And then afterwards, I tapped him on the shoulder and I was like, you have a servant's heart. You know what I'm talking about. I didn't say anything else about it, but I knew I was recording today and I knew I was going to say that because that's what a salesperson has to do.
Yeah.
Right? We have to be able to go that far for our customers, care more about our customers so that we can help them, not make them buy a damn product.
Right.
Yeah, for me, it comes down to that was just me being authentically myself.
Right.
I wanted nothing out of sharing a moment to pour some water for other people around the room. And I try to take that approach into my relationship building with potential customers and prospects. You talked about the assembly line and doing all the things A to Z that it takes to be efficient in prospecting. But within that, and this is something that we teach is like, or that we want to be emphasized on is being yourself, being personal. The sale part of sales, it's like 1 + 1 = 2 done. There's a lot of other stuff in between there, communication, relationship building, trust, right? And just showing up and presenting as who you are and getting to know someone for genuinely who they are, it closes the gap in such a hurry. And there's a way to do it authentically, and then there's a way to do it where you're pretending. And people can see aura, people can see intent in your body language, in the way that you're talking to them. If you're saying, oh, hey, how you doing? Was your day good? Okay, great. Hey, let me tell you about this product I have. I have all day, all night next week to get into what I do personally. If I get to know you and what you do and who you are, how many kids you got, who's your Seahawks football team, then we're getting to know each other on a level that is transcends business, right? And ultimately, like, I would love to be able to create that relationship with every prospect I come across. Unfortunately, and this is why, we have this big mission, we have to go out there and we have to change the perception of what it means to be a salesperson to somebody who doesn't know me walking up to them. Right. And they think I'm the snake oil guy or the let me get you in this car today guy, zero down, and when that's not who I am and that's not who we are, right? And so I take a real personal approach to sales. We're not reinventing the wheel. Tips and tricks and tactics, techniques, behaviors, you can go and get those anywhere. You can read a book, you can get other training programs, and of course we talk about those and we teach those things, but the value of communication and genuinely getting to know somebody and building that trust from a place of wanting to help, wanting to learn about them and caring about what they need instead of just trying to sell them what I want to sell them, that trumps everything for me. So,
and the deals follow, right? You can literally go out there and try your hardest to sell it, whatever it is you're selling. Maybe it's trinkets, maybe it's, whatever it is, right? Cars, services, right? Medical equipment. If you're going out there with the only intent to sell and make as much money as you can, right? You can go out there and you can do it relatively okay, right? But is it sustainable? Is it long lasting? Is it making an impact in anybody other than yourself short term?
That is a good point. When I was doing restaurant marketing, there were certain clients that I just knew after a while of doing it that it would be a detriment to my business to work with.
Right.
Because and here's the part that's kind of controversial, but I guess their food tasted like dog food. You know?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And if I'm doing marketing for somebody and I get them 50 clients a month, which is not a whole lot, but it compounds, right?
Yeah.
So in restaurant business, 2.3 people per table, right? And then from there, you have each person spending approximately $20, let's say, drink, food. And then you have 50 people. If you do the math on that times a year, let's see, 100,
Math.
230 times 12, 30.
Is a mathematical equation.
Yeah.
It's a couple
Six,
bucks.
2, 4, 2,
26,000.
2,660.
Something odd.
So, yeah. So, 24,000. My bad. Yeah. So, basically, if that were to compound year over year, that can make a difference in a company and actually grow a restaurant, which is high failure rate business.
Oh, yeah.
Into a bigger restaurant. But if they're losing my 50 customers, there's nothing we do. So it's almost like the personality of a salesperson, right? If the personality of a salesperson is, once I get the sale, bye, I don't know you, versus the like you guys, where you guys cater and
Right.
you guys actually take on that person. That's so important because that leads to recurring revenue. That leads to, well, unless that amazing salesperson leaves the job, of course. It does happen, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we both left, right?
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay.
We left. We
got my
left.
point.
We left really.
You have to be willing to walk away from somebody that's not a good fit. And when I say walk away, like without hesitation, not just willing to walk away, but walk away with your head held high that like, yeah, this is not a good fit for me. This is not a good fit for us as a business to business relationship. And knowing what your principles are and sticking to those and holding fast, right? So for us, if there's a leadership team in place that isn't willing to learn, own, and live, LOL, because we love to have fun too. Learn, own, and live.
Did you just make that up?
It's something been stewing in my head for a while. Takes a while, but it comes out. So yeah, you gotta be willing to adopt the processes and own it, and then act on it. Right? Go out and live that, what you're trying to teach. Because if you're just the leadership team that's going in, we hired this sales coach, go do what he says, right? And then there's no follow through. There's no intention to support and to help that team. Then what's the point, right? They're not going to do it. They're not going to listen. But if you have a leadership team or an individual that takes ownership of that new process and those new mindsets and that new way of being, right? And they go out and they demonstrate that and they lead by example, the team will follow. Now you're gonna have a couple knuckleheads that don't want to do it, right? And so you coach them up or you coach them out, right? And you move on, right? Now it doesn't mean you go out and you fire everybody because they don't want to learn something new, but you're going to have a much higher success rate by demonstrating and taking ownership of that, whatever it is that you're hiring that trainer to come in. It doesn't have to be sales training. It can be whatever it is. If you're not willing to own that and go out and do it yourself, then you're gonna have a huge uphill battle with your team.
Yeah, that's good. And I wanted to go back to what you were saying about being knowing when it's time to walk away and knowing immediately and walking away. And that mindset can be so counterintuitive to what the majority of salespeople do. We talked a little bit about this yesterday about setting priorities, and then you schedule a meeting to do something that you're going to do, and then all of a sudden a sales call calls, and you decide to say, oh, yeah, I'll cancel what I'm doing to take this call, instead of just telling this person, hey, my time's valuable. I know your time's valuable. I'm actually really booked at this point, so let's schedule something for another time. Or just knowing how to disqualify and walk away from something when you see that you know it's not going to be a good fit. And we talked about the scarcity mentality, and it takes courage. It takes a willingness to change a mindset, and it takes balls to stand up for yourself in the moment, and just, I've heard it said by other sales trainers, it's the $1 million mindset, that you have to know that what you have is of value, and the value is within yourself, and that you don't necessarily need that business today because it's not going to serve you in the future.
Do you think that a lot of times that jumpiness towards a call that's coming in comes from a point of fear?
Fear and desperation can be the biggest killer of a salesperson's day, month, year, because when you're selling out of desperation and fear, what are you selling? You're selling desperation and fear.
It bleeds. It
you're
bleeds
gonna
out.
Yeah,
right?
then you're gonna use it's gonna bleed out from you. Then you're going to be using fear tactics to try to get somebody to buy. You're going to be pushy. Oh, I got to get this bill paid. I got to make my car payment. I got to get this one today. And that you take that energy into a person that you've never met before, and that's coming across no matter what your product of sale is or who you are. That's coming across. So, being able to help people reshift how they look at opportunity and what it means to have opportunity and belief in themselves and in their product or service is one of the, kind of the pillars of what we do here as well. So
Love it.
facts.
I was just trying to let that mic drop for a moment.
Yeah, 100%, man. That's really well said. And I want to circle back a little bit, right, to that team that's not willing to, take part in that learning, in that growth phase. Those are the teams that we're willing to walk away from. Because we want to work with winners, right? And winning is it's a skill that can be learned. Like not everybody's born a natural winner, right? But we want to work with winning teams. We want to work with individuals that want to win. And if the leadership team isn't part of that, then we're moving on, right?
And of course, it trickles down.
Yeah, it 100%, right? And you can have a leadership team that is fired up and they want to win and they're completely bought into the culture and what the mission of the company, the vision of the company. And you got a sales team that's soaking that up all along the way, right? Those are the people that we want to work with. And I think there's a million of those companies out there that are looking for help in that area. So
Absolutely.
Perfect.
Yeah. I wanted to just mention about how I met Robert and why I'm even here.
Okay.
I met Robert working with him at our last company, and he was my trainer when I came in. And he taught me the ins and outs of sales. He taught me.
So that trickled down.
Absolutely. He taught me a lot about behaviors, attitudes, techniques. He showed me how to put my weekly game plan together, even though I didn't follow it to the best of my ability. I'm hard-headed. But when I first met Robert at our last company, he was loud, boisterous. He had lots of energy. I hated his guts.
ouch.
Okay.
I didn't hate his guts, but I was like, who is this guy, man? I was like, man, who is this guy? This guy. I was like, this can't be real. I was like, this can't be real. This guy is always on. He's always got this good energy. And I was working another position at the time, and I got promoted into the outside sales position at this company, and then started training and learning with Robert, and the rest is kind of history, like shot through the roof. But I said all that to say is like, Robert's become my number one mentor and one of my best friends in life. And that came out of a relationship that I didn't see coming. And I think the lesson behind that for me is that, like, one, obviously we don't judge a book by the cover, right? We don't.
What's my cover say?
We don't sell. I mean, ebony and ivory, we blend together in perfect harmony, right? So we're good. But my closed-mindedness or my mindset before I was, opened up to learning all these new ways of being in the sales industry was different. And then once I opened myself up and decided to, be a sponge and get past whatever judgments I may have had initially. There was a real genuine connection and a real genuine relationship there. And that magic that happened in that moment is the same type of, it's something that you can't necessarily teach, but it is what we're trying to implement and teach in our relationship building is like, you don't just judge off the top and then have an outcome already played out in your mind, because you're going to manifest that outcome. I just wanted to, give Robert a lot of credit. He's brought me a long way in my sales journey, and he's taught me so much in sales and leadership and self-development that, I learned so much from him that I got really good at what I did as well. And we would go to these President's Clubs events together, and we were, always, in the top of our company. And I owe a lot of that credit to Robert. Of course, I did a lot of the work myself and learned and everything, but I'm a student, right, of what we do. And so if anything, me sitting right here, being the co-founder of Accelerate Sales and Robert's business partner is living proof that we have tried and true sales techniques, tactics, and experience that can be taught and learned, especially from a kid coming from my background and, growing up, not having a lot of money, not having a lot of support in family, and really fighting, scratching, and clawing to become successful through a lot of adversity growing up as a kid. I'm where I honestly never thought I would be. And I can see myself going further and further. And I want to be able to give that same type of opportunity to other people as well. So, the word diversity and inclusion gets thrown around a lot, but like, I genuinely care about people who have not only, the business person who's out of college, but maybe the uneducated person who just has a GED and doesn't know how to make the next step. I want to be able to be a bridge for that gap when somebody comes across me, to let them know that, one, I connect with you on many more levels than you may think, and two, there is a path forward. And so, Robert's really helped me excel through some of my adversities in life, and I just wanted to kind of give him a big shout out and show love and just say, hey man, like, what we do is authentic, it's genuine, and I guess that's cliche to say, but it's a real situation. We're two real people who decided to throw caution to the wind and believe in ourselves and say, you know what? Yeah, we're going to take pay cuts. Yeah, we're going to be broke for a few years because we believe in ourselves, and we're going to go make this thing happen, and we're going to help people along the way because we believe in what we're doing. So
there's
right on,
a really good
Love you, man.
point to that. And wow, that's nuts. When we're looking at the people coming up in today's world, right? My age group, Gen Z, a lot of them want to achieve their dreams without hard work. And some of them believe that they're talented or deserve certain things or whatever the case may be. I have been able to build the skills that I have today, whether it's video, sales and communication, branding, just to sheer action over a huge quantity period of time. And like I always recommend for my friends, I say, you should get a sales job, because that's the only way that they'll be able to talk with the sheer amount of people that they need to talk with to be able to communicate their interests. And I think that's great that you guys started that way. And on top of that, when I was 15, I went to probably I think it was 17 business owners, and I asked them, hey, I want to work for you for free. And I only had one say yes to me. And for you to have that heart to bring up that next generation is really important, because you know what? There might be another kid like me, like you, that if we say no to them, what happens? They just peter out and, die. Because that first step for me, that was probably the most energy. I probably could have made it to 20 asks and I'd be like, screw it, this is too hard.
Right. Eventually, you're going to give up.
Right. And my threshold to giving up was a lot smaller back then till now. A lot of times in business, we fall on our faces over and over and over again. And I can't believe I look in the mirror and my nose isn't flat, you know? And for me, my ability to get up over and over and over again comes from being told no a lot, being in situations that make you want to just curl up on the ground and die and cry or whatever's, and being able to let all that out. It's healthy to cry, healthy to let that out, and then switch back over to, okay, next task, what's required? Let's get it done. For a younger person who is maybe doesn't have the same years of experience, that can be hard. And that's why mentorship is so important, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I mean, it's great that you guys are here. You know, you're willing to help people, because it really doesn't exist on that level very much anymore, right?
Right. It doesn't. And there's so much, you know, when you're talking about, you know, young men and women coming up and, you know, falling on our faces and picking ourselves back up, right? Man, that's the definition of sales. So you're going to go out there, you're going to get your teeth kicked in a few times. You got to get back up, right? You're going to get knocked down. It's a life of rejection, right? So if,
Burns so good.
right,
I was told at the beginning of the day, you got to get one kick in the nuts and then you're good to go. You got to
Right.
it's better to get that kick in the nuts out of the way versus wondering when it's going to happen.
right, because it's going to happen, right? Just accept it and be ready for it, and then get back up and go out and do it again.
Right.
One of the things that, you know, Darnell, you know, when you're sharing a minute ago and you're talking about the things that helped you, right? It's not just about the sales training and coaching. It's that mentorship aspect, right? You need a trainer to teach you, right? Michael Jordan had a trainer. I don't know if he still does. I'm sure he still does. He's got business coaches and business trainers, right? So you can be the best of the best. You still need a trainer and a coach. You also need a mentor. A mentor is not the same as the trainer and the coach. What is the coach's responsibility, right? The coach is to the term coach comes from, you know, back in the, I don't know, I'm just going to throw a number out there, the 1800s, right? When you got horses and you got coaches. What's the job of the coach? The box that the horse is carrying or
To
trailing
carry
behind
people
Carry people.
it. To where?
to their destination.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly, right? So the coach is to carry you along to help you get to your destination, right? So in sales coaching, we're going to take you from point A to point B, right? And the mentor's job is not to coach that person from point A to point B. The mentor's job is to lead by example, to share failures, to share wins, and be a sounding board, a resource for the individual to be like, hey, you know, I'm going through this right now, and you know, how did you handle something like this, right? And to be more than just the coach, right? So one of the things that I wish I had growing up in sales was some sort of a program that had mentors and coaches. And with the internet now, with technology, right, we have that ability. We have that the ways to reach more people, and that's the Accelerate Sales Network, and that's where we're literally donating our time. Now you got to pay to be part of the network, right? Because we don't value what we don't pay for. But so you got to have some skin in the game. But at the base level, right, the value that somebody gets from having a mentor and a coach is so important. And so with that, kind of lost my train of thought there for a second. But going back to what you were sharing about coming up in sales and going through some struggles and adversities, right, and learning to be more open-minded, and it's more than just the tips, tricks, and hacks, right? It's that holistic. I use the word holistic all the time, and people are like, holistic and sales, that doesn't even go together. Well, it doesn't go together because we've not put it together. Let's put it together, right? And so learning to treat the person as a whole instead of just the salesperson, right? If we're going to train sales tactics and techniques, that's great, but what about the rest of the person? What about the person that goes home at night? Right? What about the dad that wakes up and makes his kid breakfast in the morning? What about the mom that's taking their son or daughter to soccer? Right? Oh, this is such a stereotype, soccer mom, right? So baseball dad, soccer mom, I don't know, but let's coach sales, but also let's mentor the individual to be a better person.
So this is really good that you say this, because my managerial experience, a lot of it comes from church.
Okay.
I've been a media director, and now I operate as a service director at my church here in Washington. And a lot of what is necessary, and especially in the departments that I oversee, is that we first check in with their mental, emotional well-being first.
Okay.
I can teach them all the technicals. I can teach them how to operate a soundboard. I can teach them how to operate cameras. I can teach them how to set up the service, and all that to me is so easy. But if they're not right in their head,
right,
their churn is going to be crazy, because first of all, they're not getting paid. These are mostly volunteers. I'm a volunteer. Everybody's a volunteer. So if I can take that into the way I operate my business, a lot of times that keeps everybody semi-happy. Right. It's still a business. They're still charging
But don't lose that. Don't ever lose that personal connection, right, to the person, right? You're connecting with them on a level that they can feel comfortable and vulnerable to share. Like, you know what, I'm going through this today, right? Okay, well, let's get back on that horse and let's get out there and we still got to do business, right? That doesn't go away. But let's talk to the person first.
Yeah, let's talk about it. Let's talk about what happened. What were you feeling before you went in there? What happened in there? What'd you say? And then talk somebody through it, right? And carry them along. Obviously, they have to do the work. I also think it's really important to, and this is something that we're building and something that we're absolutely doing and going to do more of, is you just don't throw people away, right? Business is business. You talk about churn, talk about turnover, but you got to give people an opportunity. And I'm nobody's professional counselor. I'm nobody's therapist, but as a company, I do want to make sure that I have viable resources in place that I can send people to, or give people an opportunity to take themselves to, and give them the time, space that they need maybe to get right. You talked about the ESN, the Accelerate Sales Network. Not only is there going to be coaching and mentorship there, but what a lot of people that are having a hard time need, i.e. myself, is community. And being in a like-minded community is awesome, right? Because you got people sharing their experience, strength, and hope, their struggles, their successes, and it's somebody that is just like you, or somebody that you aspire to be, or somebody that you want to learn from. And as we grow that group, it's just going to become invaluable to up-and-coming salespersons, people who have been in the game for a really long time that are looking for something different, that are looking to add an extra level, that are hit a dead end and are like, I need to open up my mind a little bit. And that's what we're trying to do. We want to have a different community in a space for people to be people and be human and be able to connect with one another on a level that makes the rest of it, fairly simple, so.
Good stuff.
Okay, I'm going to go back to the church topic a little bit.
Yeah.
So my mom called me, and she basically asked if I was in a cult. And I asked her, like, okay, why? But I also understood why she said that, because basically every time she would call me, I would be in some sort of meeting or worship practice or prayer or something, or small group. And it was always church related. And she also coincidentally read an article about how there was a bunch of these college students in Korea that were going in hordes to churches and, finding out about Jesus or whatever's. And from there, she made the assumption that, this was similar or whatever's because, the red car theory, right?
Yep.
How many red cars did you see? It's like, okay, cool. But basically, I was silent for a little bit because I was like, well, Mommy, you don't know me that much, do you? Okay. So I was thinking, how should I answer this? So I said, let's take the religion out of it. Let's take all the labels and everything out of it. Person wants to go to an organization to find what? Or community to find what? And she couldn't answer me, so I said, love. And then I asked her my follow-up question, which was, where are we supposed to get love from? And she says, of course, family. And then I said, okay, so what am I missing? If I did join this cult, what am I missing? She was silent. She couldn't say anything. And the reason I bring that up is because I do believe that a lot of people are missing community. I mean, we live in Washington. This is Seattle freeze for crying out loud. And I know that's a heavy subject, but it's so much easier to sometimes find it out there because you're moving into a place where people have that. So if you build this community, and this is where I'm thinking you guys are going to do very well, if you guys build this community that is based out of love, care for the people in your community, then that's the basis of any organization drawing in a following, drawing in. And this has to do everything with personal branding.
Right.
If you brand your guys' selves to be this way, which is, so HAIL, right? Honest, authentic, integrity, and love. A lot of good advertisements use this, right?
I've not heard that before. I'm totally stealing this.
Cool.
This is great. Yeah.
Perfect. It's a TED Talk. I can send you the link. And so basically you mentioned coaches. I'm going to talk it from the point of golf. So there was this RBC commercial that I recently watched. I go and watch like ads just for the fun of watching ads. It's kind of weird, but this is a documentary ad. It's following a golfer called Jason Day. And I've been golfing since I was like 11, but on and off. And then, my dad wanted me to go pro. So it was stressful. So that's why on and off. But Jason Day was always known as this very emotional golfer, right? Jason was like throw his clubs, smack his bag, swear. In all the senses, he's not sponsorable, right? Because, who would want to sponsor like a golfer that acts that way? It's not good for brand. Instead, RBC chooses to cover his story. He's also the number one golfer at some point in time, right? So if he sucked, then it doesn't matter what his story is.
Right.
But he's on the top, but he's also, kind of undesirable on a corporate branding perspective. But the documentary shows him and his struggles, his losses. So he lost his dad, right? He lost his dad. That's what it covers. And then you start to see his mom come into the picture and like tell what's going on, how it affected him, how he reacted to the loss. And then they introduce Cole. Cole is his caddy and his coach. And that's where it gets super crazy because it's like, okay, this is the guy that's going to be able to keep mentoring Jason. This is the guy that keeps him level-headed on the course. This is the guy that makes sure that when he goes home after a crappy round, he's not going to beat himself up too much, but also push him in the right direction, of course. And to me, having the right person caddying you is so important because my caddy, my father, was yelling at me down the course and having us run with our bags. It's a very different environment. And Tiger Woods grew up with that. Tiger Woods, like, that was the whole mentality about the way I was trained in golf. Tiger Woods' dad would like throw buckets of balls at him and he'd still have to hit the ball, right? Versus having a father figure that's loving, caring, and kind that can give you that love and care that you're desiring. And that's what I believe you guys can bring to the table. And also that ad showed honesty, authenticity, integrity because of his hard work ethic. And of course, Cole brought in the love.
Love it. I would agree 1,000,000%. And the idea of community and HAIL. So I'm going to honesty.
Take it. Honesty, Authenticity, integrity, and love.
Okay. We're gonna get some stickers
Let
made.
that rain down on people.
Yeah, no, that's really good, man. And thank you for sharing that story. Thank you. I think, for us and what we're creating, right, and why it's so important is, again, you're out there, you're getting your teeth kicked in, right? We talked about the negative side of sales. It's a life of rejection, right? And if you have to go through that on your own, which I did, but there's no reason to have to go through that on your own anymore, right? Be part of a community where you can lift each other up, you can hold each other accountable, you can push each other, right? And that, what you're talking about with the coach, right? And pushing is also a huge part of that. And so, man, that's really, really strong. Love it.
Yeah. So I guess what I kind of wanted to go over, like, what a business would be looking for in hiring a salesperson. Like, what qualities does a blank canvas, let's call it a blank canvas salesperson. More than likely, they've been in customer service in some way, shape, or form, because most people don't just like jump straight into sales.
Right.
But let's say they worked counter or retail or whatever's, right? What kind of qualities are we looking for in someone on the sales side of things that can be moldable, right? So, of course, that's technically is one of the qualities, but
It's one of the biggest qualities.
really, okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Malleability. I think being able to have somebody that is eager to learn and open-minded to learning new skill sets and new things is always, for me, I did a lot of training throughout working, and there's this guy that never did sales before, thought he knew everything, talked a mile a minute, over-talked you. He said 2 words. He was always saying, yeah, I know. Do you know? Okay, well then why don't you get in the driver's seat, take me where we need to go and show me how to do the job. And then you have somebody on the other end who is eager, hungry, willing, and open to learn. And I just think that in itself, you can work with somebody like that. And from there,
The skills, you can teach them the skills.
the skills, you can teach them the skills. Yeah. So for me, it's it just boils down to somebody who's open-minded and willing.
When I think about that person, like what are those characteristics and those qualities that we're looking for in a salesperson? First, you gave me some love earlier, right? I'll share some love right back. Is you Darnell were the perfect example of that. And you show up, you're like, I remember your first day. You're like, you introducing yourself in front of the crew, and you're like, yeah, so I'm Darnell, and I'm coming for the sales job. I don't remember your exact words, but you were confident, you were approachable. You weren't like, it wasn't like arrogance. It was just like, you're having fun with it, right? So
It was just like facts.
yeah, right. And you did, right? So you worked your way up and you got the sales position. And then I've trained a lot of people and I've helped a lot of people. And it's that rare individual that will do the things necessary. And I say rare, it's not as rare as one might think, right? There's so many people out there that are doing the right things, but without a growth mindset and a willingness and openness. And you demonstrated that. We would talk about sales techniques and mindsets and behaviors. And outside of sales, we would talk about things like, integrity, right? And what does it mean to do the right thing, not necessarily in sales, but in life. And you would go out and you would demonstrate those things. And you went from literally 0 to hero in a fraction of the time that somebody without that growth mindset would be struggling for years to get to. So growth mindset and willingness to put yourself out there and do the right thing and learn. So
That was so my solar door knocking job. I decided that I would go and hit all the black dots on the map. Black dots were don't ever go there again.
okay.
And my trainer said that he did this and it became easier. And I was like, man, I really don't. I've seen a couple of black dots in person from a block away, or like I hear them. I was like, wow, this would be really scary.
So you're talking about customers who are like, get the hell out of, get away from my door. I told you never to come back here. No, I don't
Yeah.
want you got what you're selling.
So yes,
yeah.
those people that for a beginner sales rep, a novice sales rep would be pretty scary. You'd be like, I don't want to open Pandora's box on accident. But because of our CRM, we're able to see, I think we were using like Sales Rabbit or something. We're able to see some of these doors. And my sales trainer said, you know what? This was one of the things that helped me out a lot. And nobody else on my team wanted to do it. So I did it. Probably out of a little bit of ego.
Right.
This is to show I could. But you know what? Actually, it was probably one of the more profound things that actually helped my growth, because I knew that any other interaction from then on was like easy peasy
Yeah.
in comparison. Like
Sure.
if I had to, like when I woke up in the morning and I was like, okay, nothing's going to be worse than that 1 week of black doors and black dot doors, whatever's. And essentially from there, I was able to hit more doors. I was able to talk to more people. And if it ever did happen, I was like, I did like 5 of these in one day. If it happens once or twice a day, this is okay, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
It was not the end of the world. And I guess if I were to hire somebody, I would want to hire somebody that has the balls to know what is coming, know that it's going to be awful, know it's going to be hard, and do it anyways.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you got to be willing. You got to have courage. You got to be kind of, it takes a special type of crazy person to be, a sales
Right.
person, and throw yourself out there to the wolves for the abuse of all the no's and all the criticism that could come along with it. But oh gosh, I lost my train of thought. I was going to say, that as a new sales rep, I had a little bit of that. I'm going to go, oh, you couldn't close that deal. I'm going to go do this. I'm going to go do that. Well, it's good that when you're a new sales rep, you don't know what you don't know. And sometimes that's good. Sometimes it's good not to know anything and be willing to take instruction from a trainer and just go out there and hit it, because, hey, sometimes you'll land something that nobody else could land because you just went out there blindly. Maybe that's called the blind squirrel finding the nut, but that momentum that a person can gain.
Can you repeat that? Blind squirrel finding a nut?
Yeah, blind squirrel finding a nut. That momentum, though, from getting a small win or a big win, depending on if it's a new sales rep, carries a lot of weight, right?
Right.
And depending on who the mentor or the trainer is or where you're working, we can build on that, right? So it's almost, I guess, in some scenarios, it's better to have people that don't know what the hell they're doing sometimes. And again, I guess that goes just back to being trainable and malleable and open,
I would say this. If you take a beginner sales rep and test out new things, that's always good, because you don't have the cynicism of the older sales reps.
Right.
That's right. Yeah.
So if I wanted to test out a new neighborhood, I'd be like, hey, we're going to test out a new neighborhood for your first day.
Okay.
And then
That's what I'm
boom.
saying.
Because
Okay.
this is why.
Let's go.
It's because they're new. Just because it's a new neighborhood for you, it's going to be a new neighborhood for them either way, right?
Right.
So it's not going to really even matter if you test out a different market, if you test out something new. So that
You're leaving the preconceived notions
right
behind you,
so
right?
you're able
There's-
to take a blank slate.
Yeah.
Maybe not the best sales rep, maybe not the most experienced sales rep, but a blank canvas with all the human emotions and fear and whatever else that comes with, and able to collect data. That's really what it is.
Right.
And also, I mean, even for a new sales rep, when you have trainee on you, like that's the best thing in the world for when you're starting, because you're like, hey, I'm new to this. And everybody's like, okay, cool.
Everybody likes to help the new guy. And let me tell you, you can play that new card
Right.
For a
way
long
way
time.
longer than you think, right?
yeah.
there's always something you can do to show that vulnerability, right? Of like, hey, I'm new at this, and people warm up to that. People want to help the new guy. So
I think that I was able to smash some of the records at the sales companies that I worked with because I had a trainee tag.
nice.
I don't think it was necessarily because I was like that great at it, but sometimes I'd just be like, I'm pretty new to this. I'm 6 months in.
I got to take a break.
Okay. Oh my God, you could have given me some sort of signal.
That was it. That was time out.
This is what I'll do. I'm gonna do it this way, and then I'll find a place to cut it off.
Yeah.
And I'll be like, thank you for. Yeah, I'll wait till after he gets out of here. Thank you for joining us today with Darnell and sorry.
Robert.
Yeah, I was trying to say Webb, and then Darnell Webb and Robert Towner. Thank you for joining us again today with. My headset was all weird. Thank you for joining us again today with Robert Towner and Darnell Webb from Accelerate Sales, and hope you guys gleaned something from that experience. I know I did. And if you, what's my call to action?
We have an amazing Accelerate Sales Network relaunch coming up. So that relaunch.
What day?
We're fine tuning. So I'm currently I hired a consultant to help through this process of rebuilding the network, and we're launching it on a completely new platform.
Okay.
Roughly 8 weeks.
8
from
weeks.
today.
So May, June, July.
Yeah, let's say beginning of July.
Okay. They're relaunching their Accelerate community in the beginning of July. So if you want to go and find out about that, there's going to be a waiting list link down below, and you guys can put in your email or whatever it has, and I guess become a part of a community that is going to be led by people that are going to care about you. And I think that's one of the most important things you can find.